Sun Moon Lake in Taiwan. This is one of the many hotspots to visit if you're traveling in Taiwan. From here on, we'll be traveling by bus to Alishan, one of the many other popular spots to visit if you're in Taiwan. However, not many people know about this direct bus that will go straight through the center of Taiwan. And if you haven't noticed yet, Taiwan is pretty mountainous, so the views from the bus are absolutely stunning. From Alishan, I'll take the Alishan Railway back to Jiji. Join me as we take the bus from Sun Moon Lake to Alishan, one of the two touristic hotspots here in Taiwan. The bus is way too early tomorrow morning. There are many buses over here, but there's only one direct bus between these two places per day, and you can book it online. I'll tell you all about that in this video, but for now, let's get this video on the road and let's roll the intro. On the technical part, this video is slightly different than my other videos. I'll explain a little bit more later on in this video. Because probably if you watch this video, you're not interested in how I recorded this. If you travel from and to Sun Moon Lake by public transportation, the bus is the best way to go to. However, if you want to travel as much as possible by train, you can take the Jiji railway line. This is a smaller bronze railway line that can get you pretty close to Sun Moon Lake, but for the last stretch of the journey you still need a bus though. Probably I'll make a trip report on this as well, and if it's not there yet, just stay tuned on the Trainviking YouTube channel. If you are known with this channel, you know that my wife is originally from Taiwan. And we also have a baby, so we visited Taiwan for the first time with our baby, and also my parents joined us for this trip. They haven't been to Taiwan yet, so I traveled around with them, and this visit to Sun Moon Lake was with me and my parents. Anyway, from the end of the Jiji line, we took a bus to Sun Moon Lake, and this is a scenic area, you can see this immediately. Obviously it's a lake, and where there's a lake you find boats that will go for the lake. There are basically two kind of touristic towns along the lake, and these boats, what do have some touristic character, do also function like a ferry in a way, so in a way they're also a kind of the public transportation system. The other town at Sun Moon Lake is less well connected by public transportation, but you do find buses from and to here as well, and obviously the boats. What you also find at that part of the lake is a ropeway. And Taiwan is just absolutely beautiful, even though I have to say, I saw quite a lot of Taiwan. Sun Moon Lake is definitely not in an ugly spot of Taiwan, but compared to many other places in Taiwan, it's not the most scenic part, I have to say. But still, I really like it here. By the way, I'm using Klook for a lot of my journeys, and especially in Asia. And also excursions, for example, the ropeway tickets you can buy via the Klook app. I really love them, and when I found out they do have a discount code, so basically a kind of affiliate link for creators as well, I signed up immediately. And if you want to have some discount on, for example, a Taiwan Rail Pass, or for example the ropeway that I shot here, you can use the code Trainviking as well. I mean, this way you also support this channel a little bit, and I really appreciate that. And to be honest, I also used it for my own bookings, of course. And we stayed at Sun Moon Inn. It was a really nice hotel. It's family owned. And, well, I really like this room over here. Even though they have some simpler rooms as well. But originally, I didn't know if my family would join me or not. So my wife and our baby. So this is why I booked a slightly bigger room. Anyway, back to the topic of this video. And let's go to the bus station at the main town at Sun Moon Lake. And the bus station is located right next to the Tourist Information Center. You do find buses to literally all over Taiwan over here. And I was quite surprised to see this. Of course, I know this is a very touristic spot in Taiwan, and lots of people who visit Taiwan do go to Sun Moon Lake, so in a way it makes sense as well. But still, I was really surprised by the amount of buses, and especially the amount of destinations that are being served from and to here. However, information about our bus today, I couldn't find that on the information screens near the bus station. Even when I asked at the bus station, there was a lady who didn't speak very well English, She didn't know anything about the bus to Alishan, what really surprised me. However, the information on my pre-booked ticket was extremely clear. Now let's review the bus station. I mean, this is a real intercity bus station, and like I always do with my videos for trains, I started with the station we depart from. Right above the bus station there is a bike rental company. This is linked to 7-Eleven, and there are lots of smaller local bike rental companies in the town as well. I really suggest you to use those smaller local companies. If you have to go by bus, you have to line up, and this has been marked pretty clear as well. This way, first comes, first serve, and it's not that some people can, well, just find their way to the front of the line while they arrive later at the bus station. This is something you find more often in Taiwan. There are lockers at the bus station as well, both within the building but also at the back of the station. And toilets can be found here as well, what can be very useful because our bus today doesn't have a toilet. Once again, people do line up for the bus, even though for the bus we took today it wasn't really needed. There's quite some information about departing buses from here. However, personally I really prefer to use the navigation apps, like for example Google Maps, Apple Maps or Here We Go Maps. Pretty much everything is listed in there as well. A 7-Eleven is integrated in the bus station, so if you want to grab some food and drinks, you can do that here as well. Taiwan has per capita the biggest number of convenience shops, and mainly 7-Eleven and Family Mart are very popular here. Although you do find some others as well. So if you want to grab some food and drink before the journey, you can do that over here as well. Although keep in mind, especially for some regional buses, you are not always allowed to eat and drink on board of the bus. Most buses that do depart from here are mentioned as the Taiwan tourist shuttle buses. These are basically buses that go to the more touristic hotspots. But you also find some very regional city buses from and to here. Even though most buses are Taiwan tourist shuttle buses, these buses are not always that special. For example, near my parents-in-law at their place in New Taipei City, you find this bus over here. What's basically just a very random city bus. Now let's take a close look on the map for today's journey. The journey is a little more than 100 kilometers and we need a little more than 2.5 hours for the entire journey. This includes some breaks though. However, we are traveling through the mountains, so no big highways at all over here. And the bus for this journey, it's a really small bus actually. There is some space for luggage at the back of the bus, even though it's not an overwhelming lot, I have to say. And of course, the standard things you can expect for buses, like there's a screen at the front of the bus that will host the route number, the final destination, etc. Even though it was flickering a little bit in the sunlight on my camera, so you can't see it that well. We've booked the tickets for this bus in advance. There's a link below this video where you can do that. I really recommend you to do that if you have the possibility, even though for our journey it wasn't really needed. However, I really recommend you to book this in advance. I mean, if it's fully booked, you might find other ways to travel along the same route and that takes way longer. And there's only one bus per day, so taking the next bus, that's not going to work. There was some extra information as well. And at the moment you enter the bus, there is a point where you can tap in and out if you didn't book your tickets more in advance with the use of an easy card. Even though seats are numbered, if you book your ticket in advance, you won't have an assigned seat. But this bus only has 26 seats. Even though the driver didn't speak English, information has been given pretty clear. The stops along the way are being announced and also displayed at this screen, and this is not only in Mandarin Chinese but also in English. These buses are air conditioned and the request stop buttons are marked pretty clear as well, even though probably you won't need this because if you're traveling along this bus you most likely travel along the entire journey. And what else is there to say? Well, actually not much. These are simple buses. Priority seats have been mentioned though. All seats do have a cup holder and all seats do have a seat belt. So you're also expected to wear the seatbelt during the journey, even though this bus doesn't go fast at all. The amount of legroom, it's reasonable, it's not very impressive, but it's okay. And the driver or someone else has been very creative when it comes to electricity work in the bus. And this way you can use a normal charger to charge your mobile devices. for the last bit of this video I'll show you some views from the bus. However, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I'll tell you a little bit more about this video, why this is different in a technical perspective. To start with, I used another camera, more the real deal where I have to do the settings myself. I used to do a lot with photography, and this way I can combine this a little bit more with my trip reports. I'm not digging in that too much, but I didn't have a gimbal yet when I recorded this. The second thing, I'm using different editing software for this. For this I'm using DaVinci, what is way better than what I'm used to, but I still have to get used to it. The reason why I'm using DaVinci is because I eventually want to swap to Linux. Because basically I'm a little bit fed up with big tech. I'm not digging in that too much, but I think if you know about privacy and also what countries do own big tech, I think the reasons why I want to switch to Linux are quite obvious. Anyway, I will stop talking for now, so just sit back, relax and enjoy the views from the bus along this beautiful route. The first section is a little bit less scenic, but the last section we really go high up into the mountains. The highest point of elevation is around 2500 meters above sea level. So sit back, relax and enjoy the views from the bus. Here, the bus is arriving at Alishan transport station. Some things have changed here since I made a trip report about this place. For example, this area here used to be a 7-Eleven. Anyway, some things have changed and some things are for the good as well. For example, last time when I arrived here, there was no direct train yet between Jiji and Alishan, and now we took a direct train back to the valley again. I made a video about it, but I think there are many other things to highlight about the new Alishan railway connection as well, so probably I will not edit that video yet at this moment, but make some other videos where I will cover different kinds of trains as well. There's also another kind of touristic train. Obviously, the entire Alishan trains are touristic, between Fancy Ho and Jiji. That is totally different from this train. And then you also find a special, very fancy train along this route between Alishan and Jiji that's being operated by a travel agency. I really like to highlight that train as well. Anyway, I do have another video about the Alishan railway line as well. It's basically one of my best viewed videos at this moment still. You can find it in the description of this video. I forgot to do the outro at the spot, so I'm doing it right now while I'm editing this video. I hope you liked this video and or this has been a helpful video to you. If so, please give me a thumbs up, I really appreciate that. If you see this hype button below the video, please click there as well. This also helps to improve the searchability for this video. And at last, if you like to see more trip reports about more sustainable ways of transportation, the main focus for this channel is long distance and or international traveling, then hit that subscribe button if you haven't done this already. Thank you for watching and see you on my next trip report. What I promise you will be on a train.